Welcome everyone, welcome friends. Today we're talking about the gut feeling and mostly about nurturing your gut for optimal health, but they're all connected. So let's see what we have to talk about. But first, let me get all the legal stuff out of the way. So little disclaimer, this seminar is only for educational and informational purposes. And I'm not a medical doctor or registered dietitian. This information I provided here is based on my personal experience, studies of nutrition coaching, and my experience as a nutrition response testing master practitioner. Any recommendations I make about the training, nutrition, supplements, or even lifestyle or information provided to you today should be discussed between you and your doctor. And this information you receive does not take the place of professional medical advice. Any product or food recommendations is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The statements and information presented here have not necessarily been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, and I'm not sponsored or paid by any of the products that I might mention or foods that I mentioned today. All right, so some of you might know Lance Smith, some of you don't, but Lance is my today's host, and he is a financial educator. He is a keynote speaker, author of several books, dance and fitness instructor, real estate investor, a big, huge health enthusiast, and owner of the Clay Smile Entertainment. So you might know him maybe from there, but maybe from the other parts. And I'm presenting today. My name is Zuzana Bernakova Kennedy. I'm a scientist. I'm a molecular biologist with a background of the biotechnology and biochemistry. And because of my own health, I recently transitioned into a more holistic way. And I'm a nutrition response testing practitioner of the master clinical level. I added functional and nutritional blood work to my portfolio. I'm a nutrition health coach, and I still stay active as a Zumba instructor for my own benefits. And I own the company named ZuzuFit, Health, Wellness, and Fitness. And of course, we all love health and science together. So let's dive into today's topic. What do we talk about when we mention the gut feeling? But for a change, let's start with a joke. One day, all the body parts were arguing who was the most important in the body. The brain said, "I'm the most important. I control everything." The heart said, "My beating keeps everything going, so I am the most important." The liver argued back, "I'm the most important, as I help with metabolism, excretion, detoxification, and many, many more processes." And then finally gut said, "You guys, I'm the most important one. I digest, I absorb, I protect, I produce hormones, excrete, and reabsorb." And then everyone laughed. Oh, it was so funny. So the gut got mad and shut down. Well, we know how that feels, don't we? Like if our guts are not working, the whole person is not happy. So this knowledge actually is not new. It's not recent. It's not based on science. It actually started a long, long time ago, before everything even was known, what's happening really in our bodies and in our environment. And our well-known first doctor, or the father of the doctors, Hippocrates, said all disease begin in the gut. And he was absolutely true. Our health is the greatest of your human blessings, and we really, really should cherish it. You know me, if you know me, I like to pull some definitions. So what really is the gut, right? We say they have guts, you have gut feeling, but what it really refers to. So based on the dictionary, we have several definitions. One of them is the stomach or belly. So which one is it? Is it a stomach or a belly? Medically, it says it's the lower alimentary canal. A part of this is the intestine. any internal parts can actually be part of it, of course. Informally, we use it as a reference to a feeling or a reaction based on an instinct or emotional response rather than considered thought. So where does this come from? And of course, you can say that it refers to some personal courage and toughness, of the character. And of course, it refers to some food items because, of course, we are not the only people or not the only mammals in the world that have intestines. So it refers to animal ones as well. But what it really is, it actually is part, or maybe actually it is everything from the gastrointestinal tract. So the GI tract or digestive tract is a tract that comes from the mouth all the way down to the anus. So it basically contains all the major digestive organs in humans and other animals that include esophagus, stomach, intestines, which might be basically intestines, and the colon up to the rectum. And its basic function, or the biggest function, is to extract nutrients and absorb the energy, and then expel the waste as a feces. But there is a balance, right? Like everything in the nature, it should work in a balance. So if you have a healthy gut, we probably absorb all the nutrients and everything works in a balance and all the organs function as they are supposed to function. If anything happens out of this circle, and this is very simplified circle, of course, something goes wrong and we get either unhealthy gut or we have some nutritional deficiency, something goes wrong in that circle and it starts being a vicious circle and we are not healthy, we're not happy, other organs are starting not functioning properly, and we might have some symptoms as like a first warning of our bodies telling us that something is wrong. So let's try to keep our gut health. And so how do we define this one? So normally, like I borrowed this picture somewhere from this page on the Facebook, they define it as a healthy gut is to have a balance of good and bad bacteria in it. And it's very, very simplified, and we will dive into it, why it's just not the bacteria, right? But yeah, pretty much the balance it is. So it is important to maintain a strong immunity, sustain and protect overall health and the fitness. But as I mentioned, it's not just the bacteria, right? So let's specify a certain terminology. Lots of people refer to gut microbiome interchangeably to something which we probably more should call microbiota. So what are these two terms refer to? Microbiota is basically a very broad, expansive community of the microorganisms, which are not just bacteria, but others that live inside us, inside our bodies, in complete balance, harmony, and they have a purpose. So even those which are not good still have a purpose. Microbiome, still, people use these terms interchangeably, refer to the genetic code. So everything what's inside of those little bugs as a genetical material, that's what we refer to as a biome, so microbiome. But I probably gave it all out, but I wanted to ask you to guess how many microbial cells are in our bodies. Anybody? Lance, would you like to guess? Probably saw the picture already.
I don't know. I mean, wow. 100,000? 100,000?
Well, it's 10 to 100 trillion microbial cells. So way, 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 way more than we can even imagine, right? We probably have never seen such a number in any real life. But this is how basically they are living in our body, and this is how many cells they represent. And it's definitely a lot. So what type of microorganisms actually are in living, around us, on us, in us, everywhere around us? There are multiple categories. I just simplify these to a few. So the yeast, and so in the middle we have the bacteria. Let me see if I can get a pointer. Yeah, here we go. We have a bacteria, which are ubiquitous. It means that they are everywhere, inside, outside, everywhere. They are mostly free-living prokaryotic organisms, so which are like single cell, little tiny cells, without a wall or the cell membrane around the nuclei. Yeast and fungi are a little bit higher of the evolution, and they are basically any members of the group of the eukaryotic organisms, so they already have secluded nuclei. Mostly we know them as a yeast, molds, and other fungi, and the higher groups are called mushrooms, but those don't live in us, of course. Another group are viruses. So those are submicroscopic infectious agents that replicate only inside of the living cells. So they can live or replicate not only in our cells, like in our bodies, but they can actually replicate also in bacteria or inside of the yeast or inside of any other living organisms. Protozoa are another single cell eukaryotes. Those that are a little bit higher in evolution than bacteria, but they are still single cells. They can be free living. Usually they are not harming us at all, but they can in certain situations be a little parasitic, so they feed off organic matter of us, but usually they feed off other organisms and actually help to reduce the organic debris in our bodies as well. I left in these definitions also the algae, but mostly we know algae as a large and diverse group of the photosynthetic kind of plants. So they are usually typically aquatic plants, and they contain the chlorophyll, so they are green, but they don't behave like a normal plants. So they are some microscopic ones, and although they don't live in us, they are definitely beneficial to eat. So let's talk about the human microbiota or microbiome in numbers. As I mentioned, the human microbiota, so everything, all those bugs that are living in our bodies, are composed not just the bacteria, but also like something which is older or archaic bacteria. They're a little different class. Viruses and eukaryotic microbes like the protozoa, yeast, and fungi that reside not only in, but also on our bodies, in our skin. They actually are pretty much everywhere. All the membranes are protected and, occupied by them. We have them based on the new research also inside other organs inside of the body, although we always thought that it's only in the gut. They are not. They are everywhere that their body needs them. We just don't know about it yet, but we're getting there. Research is getting better and better every day. So as I mentioned, there are 10 to 100 trillion of microbes in human intestine every single day. Of course, if you have a bowel movement and you flush them down the toilet, they will basically multiply again, and we will keep those numbers. These represent about 1,000 to 35,000 species. Can you imagine that? Even the 1,000, like if you're on the lower spectrum of the diversity in our gut, it's still a lot. Like having 1,000 different people living in the little tiny environment, fighting for the parking spots, for the food, and for everything. It's kind of fun. Out of those species, only 300 to 1,000 are bacteria. So can you imagine, as mentioned, there are other ones that are doing what they need to do. They function and they live in a harmony with all these other creatures as well. And altogether, all these bugs that we have represent 3 million genes, which represent 100 times more than the human has. So we know, like at the moment, at this stage of the science, we know that our human genome contains about 20,000 genes that actually code some proteins and functional enzymes, antibodies, and such stuff. Can you imagine that these guys have much, much, much more? But that's how our body is smart. We are using them. We are working with them as a symbiotic organism, so we can utilize whatever substances they give us for our benefits. And of course, they represent some portion of our body weight, which represents about 3 to 5 pounds of our bodies, might be more or might be less. And I'm full of jokes today. So if you ever feel lonely, just remember those trillions of tiny little bugs live on our skin and inside of us. So that means that you are all hanging out together and they're hanging out with you. So you're never alone. All right, let's see why the symbiosis with the humans and the microbes is actually important. So from the very childhood, they are helping us to digest the breast milk, right? So when we are little babies, that's what we need to do. We need to have these bugs because otherwise we don't really have enzymes to digest it, which some of us, the lactose intolerant people later in their life, know very well. But for the babies, they're really important. And usually it's the bifidobacteria that you probably heard from the yogurts or like the healthy cultures. And they eat those healthy sugars and they transform them to other substances that are important for growth. They are helping us to digest fiber, control the blood sugar with, like from all these substances. Basically, they produce short chain fatty acids that are important also to protect the walls of the gut. They control or like help to control the immune system by the communication. So there are certain metabolites that they produce that serve as signals for the immune cells. The immune cells can even like reach over the gut walls and grab them and move them to the different parts of the body if body really needs to utilize them. So it's a really, really smart system, and we are like only on the tip of the knowing what is really happening in our bodies in our scientific era. And of course, as I mentioned, we have those gut feelings, they control brain health. So it's a both-way ecosystem. They affect the central nervous system, and the central nervous system also controls them. So it's kind of like a little communication circle. Brain releases some of the regulators, like the neurotransmitters, and they basically control what's happening inside of the GI tract. So, like the moving of the peristalsis, the acid in the stomach, everything is released based on certain responses from outside, from environment, when we see the food, or when we know we're gonna eat, or when we need to like fight or run because of some kind of stress response. Everything is controlled by certain neurotransmitters, and then the bugs get a signal like, let's produce something else. The other way goes as well, like everything from the food and everything what the little helpers are producing back are controlling back the signals towards the brain. So that helps also with the integrity of the gut barrier, immune signaling. We have those neuropeptides and neurotransmitters produced actually mostly in the gut. Like I think like 88 to 90% of the serotonin, which is the happy hormone, is released from the gut. It's produced in the gut, and it activates the vagus nerve and basically communicates with the brain. So if you have the gut feeling, maybe you should listen to it, because this communication is still beyond our understanding. So yeah, everything works well and we eat well, we have good nutrition. Everything works in the symbiosis, in the harmony, and you have like a huge diversity of the gut bacteria and other microbiota, which live there in the, as I said, like in the harmony, and everything works great. What happens if we are basically diminishing certain nutrients? It's like clearing out the parking lot. We don't have enough food, people don't have, or we don't have enough supplies for these bugs. So they start dying off. So we get less and less different species. And there are different ones that actually survive harsh conditions. And we call these guys opportunistic, and they're starting to grow more. So we get bad stuff happening. We get different fermentation processes. So instead of short chain amino fatty acids, we will get the long ones, which are more pro-inflammatory, and other signaling molecules, which basically create other processes, other problems. This process is called dysbiosis, and it means that there is imbalance happening of the healthy and unhealthy, or good or bad, microbes. So as I mentioned, in the normal stage, we have a big variety of these guys. I only put a few over here. And then in dysbiosis, so when something is off the balance, those opportunistic guys starting to prevail. So they grow more, and we're starting seeing more higher numbers of these guys, and they create different problems. What does it usually represent out that we know of? So the easiest way would be diarrhea, something very simple. We should probably listen to those signals as well. Constipation is one of them, but then maybe even the weight gain leads to obesity and metabolic syndromes. Many times bloating, cramps, and abdominal pain signaling the bigger problems than just temporary distress. It basically can tell us that there is some disease going on, or basic irritable bowel syndrome can start happening, and leaky gut, or even higher, more pronounced disease stage, the inflammatory bowel disease, chronic inflammation, chronic fatigue, allergic conditions. All the autoimmune disorders are coming from the problems with the gut. Not all of them, but most of them. It can be all connected to the heart, cancer, of course, and other even the mental health disorders like anxiety, depression, even ADHD, autism. Those can be all represented by dysbiosis. I pulled this from the Center for the Disease Control and Prevention, and these data are from the 2019. And you see that they already know, or we already know from the research, that the gut microbiome appears to be altered in many, many chronic diseases. And this is just an example of them. So as we mentioned, the heart disease, malignant neoplasms of the cancer, even unintentional injuries, just sudden injuries that you wouldn't ever expect that it would happen to you. Chronic lower respiratory diseases, cerebrovascular diseases like a stroke. You can get just sudden stroke, sudden heart attack, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, any kidney diseases, influenza, any flu and pneumonia that are just sudden and they don't want to go away. They basically chronically stay for a very long time. Even any mental problems, right? So intentional self-harm, suicidal tendencies, chronic liver disease and cirrhosis, septicemia, essential hypertension. Lots of people these days actually suffer from higher blood pressure. Why is that happening? Parkinson's disease, pneumonitis. So basically, they're just these few examples. I believe by 2024 there are more, but they just didn't announce it yet. I only want to touch a little bit on one of them to the deeper details, and that's leaky gut syndrome, because this is usually where it all starts. So on the left side of this picture, this is how the healthy and normal gut looks. So this is very simplified representation, but normally we have these cells of our intestine walls sitting very tightly next to each other, hugging each other, not letting anything pass through to the blood capillaries. Usually in these little hair follicles called villi, they create the spaces for bacteria and other microbes to live. And these microbiomes start producing this healthy layer of the mucus, which creates another layer of the protection and the barrier, like not anything to go through these walls from the intestines to the blood. Once, as we mentioned, there is a dysbiosis, and these good guys are diminished, so they don't have enough food, or the other ones are beating them up, and they start overgrowing them. The layer of the mucus it's going to be smaller and smaller, then it diminishes, and it opens the spaces, for the cells to be exposed. Once the cells are exposed, they start to be in stress, and they start opening the junction, so they don't hold on to each other, they are not tight, and they create these spaces for not only these little bad guys go through to our bloodstream, but also toxins, the pieces of the food, something like the metabolites like a gluten. If they go inside of our blood, our immune system needs to start fighting. And if there is another response already known from before, we start creating also the autoimmune conditions. So that's just very, very simplified version. So what is causing all these? It actually starts from the birth, right? So it depends how we were delivered, if it was the natural birth or if it was a cesarean. Those actually do matter because the babies are exposed to mother's natural microbiome from the vagina, microbiota. If they are not, then they are touched by the nurses or doctors, and so they're exposed to other people's. So we are all unique. Even the identical twins will have different microbiota just because of these processes. Of course, where we live, right? Geography and environment all are important factors, like how our microbiota looks. Then, of course, genetics, like whatever comes from our parents, is important. What we eat, diet is a huge thing. Then the lifestyle, exercise, how much stress do we have? What are we exposed to in an environment, pollution, household chemicals, and disinfectants all are pretty much killing not just the bad guys, but also the good guys. And also how we keep our bodies in check, right? The weight gain, sugar, anything food related, like food preservatives, stabilizers, and other chemicals are not good for our guts because we cannot digest them, and many times even these little guys, the helpers, cannot digest them, so they don't have food, we don't have good nutrients out of it. Something is stuck, and only those bad guys might produce toxins out of them, so we're hurting not just them, we're hurting ourselves as well. Bad fats like hydrogenated oils, trans fats are not good. Alcohol also harming these little bugs. Too much cleansing, like when people do a lot of enemas like too often, might also not be good because they don't have time to repopulate. Disinfectants and sanitizers, of course, like overuse of all of these, not healthy, especially in this day and age. That's what everybody's doing, and after the pandemic and all these situations, we are so afraid, right? So we try to stay on top of our hygiene, but sometimes it's just too much. Sometimes we need to get exposed to the ground and soil and all this healthy stuff from outside. Of course, medications and over-the-counter supplements and drugs. Even something which seems so innocent, like painkillers, ibuprofen, aspirin, antacids, hormone replacement therapy, all these are harming our microbiota. And we didn't know that until recently, but yes, everything actually is altering our microbiota, our gut microbes. So we know about the antibiotics. We have a category of the meds, which are drugs that are called antibiotics, and we know that they will kill everything. But there are actually over 580 drugs on the market that don't say they are antibiotics, and there are actually antibiotics. So they are altering our microbiota. So we should be aware of it. And as I said, like simple meds like anti acids or anti pain medications alter them as well. So we should minimize them. And all of these situations, as I mentioned, our modern lifestyle is giving us this, pretty much punching us. It gives us a big gut punch of the health issues. So let's change that. That's why we are here to learn how to make our healthy guts healthier. So there are three parts of what these bugs do and need for their health and our health. And we categorize them. So all the healthy bugs we have in a category of the probiotics. So those are the live microbes with the health benefits to the host, so means to us, but also the animals. Prebiotics, they are food for a healthy microbiota, and postbiotics are pretty much nutrients for us, but there means that they are waste from the probiotics, from those microbiota metabolism. So the prebiotics are special plant fibers that help the healthy bacteria grow in our gut. They make our digestion system work better. And they are pretty much food source for the probiotic. We all heard something like inulin or fibers or fiber, complex starches, fructooligosaccharides. Those are all very beneficial, and they are pretty much feeding those microbiomes. So they need plant-based source of the food. If like people are mostly on the meat or keto, they will pretty much lose all these good healthy microbiotas, microbes, and they will a little bit change the diversity, what's happening inside of their guts. So the probiotics are live microorganisms, as I mentioned, which when administered in adequate amounts, help us. So they're basically helping us to heal. They have a lot of healthy benefits. Simply, the probiotics are good bacteria and other microbes, mostly yeast, sometimes other fungus, that offer health benefits. We'll touch base like with the more concrete examples later on. Some of the examples that you might know, there are like lactobacilli, bifidobacterium, Saccharomyces cerevisiae is the commercial yeast for brewing beer and bread. And the newer one is Saccharomyces boulardii, mostly in kombuchas and kefir. And the postbiotics are here defined as the waste left behind. I would quote this like, after our body digests both prebiotics and probiotics, but it's pretty much not just our body digesting them. It's mostly the microbes digesting their own food, good food for them. And they give us the nutrients such as vitamins B and K, lots of amino acids, because they digest all the protein to these little tiny building blocks, which we call amino acids, and substances, which are also called like antimicrobial peptides or bacteriocins, that help to slow down the growth of the harmful bacteria, so to keep everything else in check. So it's not just the bacteriocins, but it's also antifungal, antiviral agents. Then there are other substances like short chain fatty acids that help healthy bacteria flourish, and they also help to protect the cell walls of our guts. Are there any questions, Lens?
No, this is good. This is really good. It's a lot of information.
All right. I know, and that's why I just realized like I'm keep on talking and I didn't give any space for questions, but feel free to stop me at any point.
Okay, we'll do.
All right. From the health benefits, the probiotics, so those living cultures, living bugs, may improve digestive health. They definitely help with improvement of the mental health, like reducing the depression, anxiety. I don't know if you remember, but I mentioned the serotonin, which is the happy hormone. They produce lots of it if we feed them correctly. Of course, the gastrointestinal health, heart health, and evidence also suggests that it even gives us like healthier looking skin, so we can actually look younger and have a better aging. So our biological age might be completely different than our real birth age, right? So we can feel younger and younger if we eat right. The prebiotics have many links to benefits of the probiotics because they feed those little creatures. So they support healthy gut, offer better digestive health, help to lower antibiotic-related health problems, may also improve body's absorption of calcium and other minerals like magnesium and iron, help process food faster, so they spend less time in our digestive system, which helps to avoid constipation. One thing I didn't mention probably earlier is that the constipation is something we don't want. We want to have regular bowel movements every day. We don't want the food sit there for too long because the water is reabsorbed, so it gets like harder and harder to push it out. And also if there are toxins or other agents that are harmful to us, they can get reabsorbed and pretty much harm us again and then again. So it's going to be a vicious circle. So we need to pay attention to that. So let's get to the fun part. Which foods keeps our gut microbiota healthy? So let's dive into some examples of the prebiotics. As we mentioned before, those are good vegetables, fruits, so high fiber, rich also legumes, beans, protein, and spices that basically all these bugs love and feed on and thrive. So here are a few examples from the legumes. I only picked like a few from each categories: beans, peas, chickpeas, cereals. Of course, the whole grains are better: oats, bran, barley, rye, fruits, any type of fruit pretty much, and olives or tomatoes are counted as fruits. Vegetables, all the green leafy vegetables, but also something like garlic, onions, leeks. Those are very, very high in nutrients that these bugs love, and they create a lot of healthy antiviral and microbial agents. So those are definitely beneficial to eat. Mushrooms, other vegetables, nuts and seeds. Don't forget to eat those as well. Flax seeds, pistachios, almonds, cashews, and other ones. You name it, you find it, you use it. And herbs and spices. Many times we forget to garnish or spice our foods, and these guys in very tiny miniature amounts are super beneficial, like dandelions, chicories, miso, cinnamon, cocoa, marjoram, basil. Different cultures have different ones, like cumin, caraway seeds, anything fennel, ginger. Just use it. Spice up your food, we might have a little fun with it. Probiotics, usually we know as a fermented food. that they went through the process where the sugars are transformed to some other substance, usually a little bit of alcohol, but mostly good lactic acids and other acids, which are also protecting that food from further spoiling. So these are all these foods, if they were not pasteurized, are packed with these little creatures, with these probiotics. So they're super healthy to eat. So if you just want to like summarize which the fermented good foods are great, I would say yogurt, absolutely go for it. But I would go with for the organic full fat, or at least, you know, as much fat as you can tolerate without any additional sugar, with no starches. You can pretty much flavor it how much you want at home. You can add the coconut, unsweetened shredded coconut. You can add preserves, honey, oats. You can mix it with any fruits, or even vegetables. You can make sauces and dipping sauces and dressings from the yogurt. If you don't want, if for the vegans, coconut yogurt is another options. It's just those you have to really be careful and read the labels, because they have a lot of added sugars mostly in most of the products on the market. Aged cheese, but not only aged cheese, the real good hard cheese, also the blue cheese, and like those cheeses which have like a white fungi layer with like a camembert. Those type of cheeses are really healthy, good probiotics. Plain kefir, which is from the milk, or water kefir. Usually you can make it from the fruit juices, or like watermelon. Buttermilk is another fermented type of milk. And soy products, tempeh, miso. Miso is like a paste, more used as a spice. Natto, that one is super beneficial also with the COVID-19, or even for people who have problems with the circulations and blood clotting. The natto contains the enzyme which is called nattokinase, and that one helps to dissolve all these clots. So those are super, super helpful. Fermented vegetables, like a fermented cabbage is like sauerkraut or kimchi, or fermented, I think in US it's known as the term is pickles, but they're fermented cucumbers. And we have to be careful. They should be fresh and not pasteurized or preserved. So they're not vinegar made. So they kind of undergo their own natural fermentation. Kombucha is another drink, which we basically ferment tea with the sugar and then add the juices for the secondary fermentation. Or even raw unfiltered apple cider vinegar, which contains the butter, is a super good fermented food example. So just to summarize what we can do to keep our guts healthy. So we all are super individual, as I mentioned. Even from the twin studies, like identical twin studies, they found out that these twins, identical twins, that they have exactly the same DNA, have different microbiota diversity. So their bugs in their guts are in a different ratios, even if there are twin, like identical twins. So we all have like something like a fingerprint, completely unique system in our guts, and they help us. Even, let's say, if we know what we have as a mutations on the DNA level, they can compensate for it. Let's say for people who are lactose intolerant, they might have a healthy microbes that they can help them to digest the lactose, and they never even have symptoms, even if they have the mutation gene. So these informations right now, there's an era where everybody is interested to have all this information, but we have to take it with a grain of salt, because even if we have mutations here, we can have the compensation on the microbiota level, and the other way around as well. But for what we can do is to keep our diet and nutrition in check, of course, keep being healthy and active, keep our lifestyle being less stressful. So do any mind work, keep your mindset nice and relaxed. So do something for yourself all the time and minimize any environmental exposures as much as we can. Of course, it's not possible on everyday level from the bigger, broader spectrum, but at least you can control what is in your household, what you're putting on your skin, what the laundry detergents, the cleaners around the house, cosmetics and such. And then, of course, if there is a bigger problem, then just don't guess. We can test. So you can reach to any functional health practitioner, somebody like me, and we can do whatever we do. Like, everybody's a little different, and we can definitely test for what your body is deficient in. If you're interested, lots of people actually do the DNA tests now from the nutritional point of view for the mutations. The microbiome testing is getting more and more popular, and we have much more research on it, and it's getting better and better every day. But again, these all need to go hand in hand. And of course, the functional health practitioners, they have products that are tested clinically, and they know basically what have the better health outcomes on a big population. So what I created for you guys is this little template to see how colorfully we have, every week loaded our plates. So how colorful is our diet? So technically, we should eat at least 50 different colors every week. Can you do it? Definitely. I'm happy to share all these slides, and I'm also happy to share this template with you. And you would just fill it by the colors. You don't have to do it exactly, but this is my example. And if you fill at least 50 of these little boxes, then you're good to go. So as I mentioned, the diversity is the key. Variety of the eating items is beneficial to all the other little bugs and creatures that are helping us to be healthy. Just by giving them different nutrients, they will give us the variety of the nutrients that we really need. And they will produce the good stuff or the bad stuff, right? As I mentioned, there is a gut brain connection, and all those gut feelings, they can even make us craving certain stuff. So if we have something in our gut that is like a bad guy, they will create the substances and the neurotransmitters that will make us crave sugar and bad things and fried foods and so on, just because that's what they need to feed on. So think about it. If you have those cravings, maybe it's time to step up the game and say maybe I should go with something more colorful than just standard American diet and fried everything. And that's pretty much it from my end. Thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions, feel free to ask or send me the questions to my email or contact me through my website or on social media. And I'm open to questions if you have any right now.
Yes, this has been really great, Zuzu. Question about favorite type of yogurt and why?
And you're asking about some particular brands or?
Yeah, like for you personally, yeah, a particular brand maybe or type. You can there's like Greek yogurt, there's different types of brands and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, I would go with the Greek, or I think Icelandic is one of the brands which is from European. It's more full fat. I know that they have from that brand also like non-dairy one, oats, I think, maybe even coconut. But again, I would go with something which is full fat, less sugar. They have flavors, but yeah, if you want to stay like completely on a healthy side, I would go with the Greek yogurt and plain Greek plain yogurt. I usually buy them in a bigger containers. It's cheaper, so it's more economically efficient to buy a bigger container and then just make your portions at home. And I usually mix it with I love to mix it with the shredded coconut and just eat it like that, or just berries, or together coconut and the berries and honey, any of these combinations. Or many times I actually make dressings, so I would mix a little bit of yogurt with eggs, hard-boiled eggs, just all mash it, or with avocado and make like a little dressing from it, or with extra oil if you want, and lemon. It will be nice dressing for the salad.
Yeah, very good. Now, and with the physical fitness, right? Many people's physical fitness goal includes getting a six pack or get at least a flatter stomach. Especially as we get older, sometimes it's a challenge to maintain a flat stomach and everything. I noticed that you personally have really achieved at maintaining great physical, fitness and everything, especially I guess the Zumba and all that you do, staying active. But so talking about gut health, what's the relationship between gut health and having nice abs?
I think it goes in hand, like not just the abs, but overall weight gain, weight loss kind of topic, right? And obesity. So there is a population of the gut microbiomes that help us lose weight. So whatever they eat and they produce, they're very active. They help us lose weight. So they're even the signaling to the brain and through all these neurotransmitters and all these signaling molecules like insulin, GLP-1. They have a better metabolism than there are the ones that actually are not good. So there it's not just one type. As I said, like it's up to 35,000 different species. So it's really hard to tell usually when you get the microbiota test, yours from your poop. You will send the samples and you will get the results. They will give you ratios because it's not easy, just to count them. We don't probably even know all of them at this, I mean, we know a lot, but we still probably don't know all of them. But there were studies where they kind of did the gut microbiome transplant. So they completely purged everything but those people had. They were usually sick people. And they injected, they basically took somebody else feces, they washed all the bacteria, concentrated them, injected them into this person, and or even like there were mouse studies, but they did it also in people, and that it helped them to heal, help them to lose weight. So, and it goes both ways. If you basically inject from the obese people to the lean person, they will start gaining weight. So yes, that is a very individual, very complicated system. And maybe I didn't mention one thing, which is very important. It doesn't work short term. So you have to have these lifestyle changes over the time, pretty much constantly. I know the person who wrote the book, Tim Spector, he wrote several books, but he did that twin study in the UK. They're still running these studies. And he said that he was in some kind of rural or tribal environment. I forgot which continent it was on. He ate with those Aborigines, it's like whatever they were eating. And his microbiome got much more diverse. It basically he had different populations. He felt great, amazing. And when he came back to UK in 2 weeks, his microbiome population changed back to his normal. So there are certain things that our body and also those little bugs have the memory, and they will stay, and they will still try to repopulate whatever was happening before. So we need to make these changes constantly and keep them going. It takes time. we can change them, we can repopulate, to the different environment, like different composition, different variety. We just need to do it constantly. If you think you're going to take the supplement and take those 5 billions or 50 billions of the bacteria in one pill, yeah, they might flush out. Because take it as like a parking lot. If it's like all the spaces are full, there is really hard to find any parking spot, so they will just flush out. So we just have to do it day by day, like one car at a time, putting more and more good ones back in a body, also by feeding them with the good foods.
Yeah, very good, very good. Now, I heard about that program that you have called like Blue Poo or something. Is that something that you want to talk about now or later?
Yes, yeah, let's talk about it. So let me share the screen one more time. And yes, I want to announce this fun thing that I'm gonna do, and you can do with me. It's called the Blue Poo Race. So this is the link where you can find the information and buy the kit, because of course I will have to send you this supplement, which is based on the blue spirulina. I don't know if you heard about the spirulina. It's pretty much the algae or the plant, the aquatic plant. That it had basically healthy for us. It has those prebiotics type of condition properties for those healthy bacteria in the gut, so they will not harm us. But it's producing this blue color, so it's really fun to watch once you eat those little pills when it's come out. So the whole kickoff of this race will be on September 6th. I'm gonna go live with the video, but if you miss it, it's okay. We'll post the recording of it with all the instructions how you're supposed to do it. And we will break down the data on September 18th at 7:30 in the evening of the Eastern time. So the data breakdown will be explanation what you were supposed to see, what is normal and what is probably not normal, but everything is fine. You can always retest and you can always readjust. So nothing is definite. And there's going to be a live Q&A session, so that would be definitely helpful to be there. And this challenge, this race is limited to 20 people right now because I don't have more products, and I'll show you. You will basically get this like Blue Poo little kit, which contains, we'll have 2 sets of the pills. You will take 2 pills at the same time. And this little kit has a little card, which has a little table. The camera doesn't wanna show me anything today. Which pretty much, it's just the little table which you can note your start time when you took the pills, and then when you see the blue poo in your toilet, when it comes out, and you will see it. You will see the blue. It's fun to observe and wait for it. Like, what time is it coming out when I'm gonna poop?
So, okay, so the whole purpose of the test, I guess, is to see how fast your digestive system and that it goes through.
Works.
Wow.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, so there is something which is called transit time. So even if we go to the bathroom every day, it doesn't mean that your food was digested within one day. But yeah, so we're trying to see like how fast or how slow our metabolism goes. And it's basically, instead of putting our into our body some artificial dyes, because I've seen some kind of blue muffins type of challenges before, and those are with food grade, but they are still artificial colors. This one is completely natural, healthy spirulina. It will not harm us, it doesn't do anything. It's just pretty much, it's still beneficial for the bacteria in our body, but it will give us this extra blue color.
Oh, wow,
So
wow.
it's a fun challenge to do.
So I'm curious, so I'm curious about what is like the normal or healthy transit time, and then what would not be a good.
So I don't want to spoil it.
Okay. Oh, wait, we want to wait. Okay, all
I
right.
don't want to spoil it. Yes, we will because sometimes it's also a little bit mental, when people like know the information. It's not that it's a secret, but I want to just have fun with it. Like, let's do the race and see, and I would like to know also what people eat at that time. So I will create a little form, like a little survey, which is pretty much asking about the diet type, and if people exercise regularly or not, because that can all affect, you know, all these transit times as well. But there is not right or wrong. We'll say what's normal. If you're a little constipated, that might be help, you know, like you might, if it's too long and you're constipated, you probably might need to eat different foods for a little bit to speed it up. So there is always help, you know, or if there is something else going on, you probably schedule a talk with me, you know, might need more intervention. But yes, it might be a fun challenge. It might be fun. You know, people are worried about talking about poop. So let's talk about poop. Let's talk about the blue poop.
That's funny. Okay, this is good. This is really good. That's awesome. Now, is there a cost to it at all? Is there any costs?
Yes, for that one is $25 because I have to ship them.
Okay.
So it's the cost of the pill and the shipping together. It's $25 to do this challenge, to just order this kit. The videos and the training pretty much will be free, and it's limited to 20 participants because that's the amount of the product that I have right now.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And to sign up, you said you go to that website. Can you show that website again?
Absolutely. So it's zuzufit.com /blue-poo. But blue is without the E. It's just blue.
All right.
Blue. We're just gonna blow it out.
And then on that website, just to give people a heads up, on that website, it's just a form that they'll fill out, right?
It's a little bit of information about the race, just the basic information, and then there are frequently asked questions. Actually, this card actually contains that Bristol stool chart. So one thing what I ask people to do is to mention what type of stool or the poop you get. So I want to see if it's normal or if it's more on the diarrhea side or more constipated side. So
wow, okay, very good, very
it
good.
should contain all the information. It's pretty much and then it will take you to the ordering site and the card to pay for that.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, and then once again, I mean, the pills are just, you know, what are they? I mean, it's not. It is. I mean, it is kind of like a dye, though, right? Aren't they kind of like a blue dye? Or?
It is. It's a natural dye. So let's say, what do we know? Do we know something green? Sometimes spinach, right? Can color our stool. Sometimes the chlorophyll, anything pretty much the green bias, the chlorella, chlorophyll, those can, you know, turn our natural poop to the more greenish. It's just those colors are not easy to spot sometimes. So the blue is the one which is like very like a contrast from our natural system, and this spirulina normally is green. So there are different subtypes of the spirulinas. They have health benefits the same way as a chlorella. They're usually good binders. So they kind of absorb the bad stuff from the gut, and they help to move it out of, you know, out of bodies. So it actually is beneficial. Spirulina is beneficial supplement. And this one is blue. So this one is just the subtype of the spirulina, which is not green, but it's more blue. It's blue. So we will have blue.
Yeah. Oh, this is good. This is good. This is great because I feel like this is a great way for us to become more aware of our transit time.
Absolutely.
And then from there, you know, that feedback we can see about, you know, if we need to make certain changes to, you know, our
Yeah.
you know, so this is great.
Yeah, it's sometimes surprising. Sometimes even like you know, you can right now in this challenge, you will get 2 sets of the pills, so you can retest yourself again if you want. But yeah, for the future, we can probably send more, and just you can do it on your own, you know, whenever you change something. Like let's say, you know, if you eat pizza and gets constipated, you will see like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have eaten it, you know. You can basically kind of use it as a know yourself, like how your metabolism works, and how fast or how slow can you digest certain foods, because some people are fine, let's say, with lots of bread, some people are not, you know, like the pizza or bagels might constipate certain people, and it's not good, you know, because then you keep on holding on those toxins for in your body for too long.
Love it. Love it. Love it. That's great. That's great. Awesome. Well, Zuzu, this has been a lot of information, a lot of great stuff. And everyone watching, make sure you probably need to even go back and rewatch this, you know, and everything, because there's so much great information. And remember to feel free to reach out to Zuzu with questions. And we'll see you guys next time on our next episode. This is really great. And so, Zuzu, as we close out, any final words you want to leave the audience as we close?
Stay healthy, don't be afraid to talk about the poop.
Yeah.
And keep it feeding the good stuff, of course. No, because you will be happier, right? If you feed it, you know, correctly, your gut will be happy, you will be happy, life is happy, so it's all good. And
Yes,
maybe we'll get that six pack.
that's right. That's right. That's right. That's awesome. That's awesome. It's going to come naturally, you know, as we practice good habits, you know, and everything. So that's great. That's great. Well, Zuzu, thanks again. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time. We'll see you on the 6th. All right.
Thank you so much.
All
All
right.
right.
Bye.